Hey there folks, so I'm back once again here to take another crack at the Funnyplaying ITA kit. Last time I took a crack at this I was looking at a production sample. There were a few little kinks to work out and there weren't any instructions at the time, so I didn't actually know what I was doing. I was just kind of winging it, but I'm older now, I'm more wise, and I've got a little bit of a better idea. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this kit. Now, don't pay too much attention to my specific packaging. I did order quite a few things. Well, Retro Game Repair Shop did throw this in with my order, but the packaging is not exactly what you might get. So last time I ordered one of these kits, came in one of these boxes, but Funnyplaying has since changed their branding, and I threw it in the new box because I thought it would be kind of neat. But anyway, here's what you get with one of these kits. If you get it from Retro Game Repair Shop, you're going to get one of these cards with it that says, you know, test it before install, because realistically you should be testing all your kits before install. Some other good information on there, but we'll walk through the kit. That's not too important at the moment. Here is what you get. I've got a few extra goodies in the box that we'll get to later, but the kit does not come with these. All right. So the main star of the event, you get the screen itself that it uses. This is actually the lower screen out of a DSi, not a DSi XL. But just regular DSi. One of the benefits of that is that you get approximately the same size image. It is basically letterboxed and pillar boxed because the DSi screen is higher resolution, but the image is about the same size, very good quality. There isn't any scaling whatsoever, it's just 1:1. A lot of people like this kit because it looks a lot like the older AGS 101 mods, which isn't exactly a selling point for me, but you know, I get it. I get it. And to be honest, the kit does look really good. And I have done some AGS 101 mods in my time. They're alright, but this is better. Anyway, there's the kit, or the screen attached to the back of the screen. We already have the ribbon that is plugged in, and it is like adhered down, so things do get a little bit confusing if you do end up breaking your screen and need to replace it, because yeah, it's just a DSi screen, but peeling this off can be a little nerve-wracking, so I don't recommend it, but it is an option if you need to. You also get this black adhesive strip. Not 100% sure what that's for. I'll have to reference my instructions again. We get the little adapter ribbons. Should come with a 32 pin and a 40 pin for your Game Boy Advance. The one that I reviewed, like I said, it was a production sample. It ended up with two 32 pin cables instead of a 32 pin and a 40, so I wasn't able to do the install on the Game Boy I wanted to, but found something that worked anyway. And you get some adhesive to tack it into the screen. All in all, pretty simple, not too much to it. But y'all saw me last time, or maybe you didn't, but you'll have to take my word for it. I ended up trimming the shell to get this thing to fit, and honestly, the trim wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. I made it look way more complicated than it needed to be, especially because there is a feature that is not very well documented in this kit. You can actually just adjust where the display image is, so you don't have to get it lined up perfectly. You just have to do a lot less trimming than I showed, which I didn't know at the time. And then it works great. But if you want to avoid doing that, you can just go ahead and grab yourself one of the new Funnyplaying shells. These things are compatible with both the old screen mod and the new screen mod. Unfortunately, that means a little bit of trimming is required. Let's go and pop this open. At the time when I ordered this, clear was the only color, but didn't matter too greatly to me because that's the color I wanted. Unfortunately, they didn't have like the mirror clear at the time, which I think would have been nice. I don't know what the status is on those, but they'll be back eventually. With this shell, you get the shell, some screws, and a rear label. Now, notice neither the shell nor the kit came with a screen lens. I went ahead and put 2 in this box, give myself some options that, because I haven't made the decision on which one I want to use yet. But you will need a screen lens if you're reshelling. You can use your old one. Don't recommend it, just get a new screen lens. But yeah, with the new shell, this install should go quite a bit smoother. But before we get into the install, let us get some baseline power usage numbers and then test the kit. Should be good. Let me get my power supply out here. Forgot to plug it in ahead of time, but should be no big deal. And tonight's donor is a bare motherboard with a screen and a game stuck in it. I have been doing some mods to this Game Boy. This is actually one of my test boards, but I want to do the install with this board in particular because there's a mod I did to this thing that I will give more details on later. Trust me, if you ask me about it in the comments, I will probably be intentionally vague. But I want to test it out, and the best way to test it out, I think, is going to be to do a build with it. So here we are. I will also likely have to do a little bit of trimming because this thing has custom shoulder buttons, and these didn't fit in a stock shell. I don't think they'll fit in Funnyplaying either. Anyway, enough with the rambling. Let's get on with it. So I'm going to use my MDP XP power supply here. I'm going to test at 2.4 volts. We're going to get a baseline power usage number. Sorry, the screen's going to be hard to see. It is sun damaged and not backlit. But you'll have to take my word for it. We're going to do some testing with the exact same game I always test with in the exact same place I always test with. So at 2.4 volts, this Game Boy pulls 109 to 119 milliamps, which is skosh high, but about normal. And if we turn off, it pulls 0, which is excellent. That wasn't necessarily a given with the mod I have, but like I said, more details on that later. Let us go ahead and make sure the kit works. So before doing anything else, we are testing this, and I need the 40-pin ribbon, this one. So on the Game Boy Advance side, it goes pins up. Though with how things are angled, there should only be one way to install this. And then this is going to go... I just said there should only be one way, and I've already totally bungled it. There we go. It goes like that. And then the ribbon side goes pins down. I can flip it up like that, but I am going to hold it because the back of the screen is metal and I don't want it to short on the battery contacts. Uh-oh. Doesn't work. That's unfortunate. Double check my connections here. It's probably just not plugged in enough. Reseat that. No. Oh dear. Though if it were this connection, I would have still had a backlight, and I did not have a backlight. So I don't think that's it. Nope. Well, I have a hard time believing this kit's gonna be dead. Oh, you know what? I wonder if that is necessary. before I do more troubleshooting on this, this is a 40-pin Game Boy, and there is an extra step we need to do for 40-pin Game Boys. I'm going to unseat that. Unplug that. Soldering is required for 40-pin. It is technically not required for 32, but still recommended. For 40-pin Game Boys, we need to remove capacitor C54, which is right here, right above the volume potential, or the screen potentiometer. Removing is going to be nice and easy. We'll just hit both sides with some solder, and then just lift it up with the iron. And I am just going to tin those pads and make them nice and pretty, but we don't need to do anything else. And while I'm here, I'm going to double check that this cable's actually seated all the way, because I see an awful lot of... Oh, rookie mistake. That cable wasn't seated properly. So that could have been my issue. In fact, that was very likely my issue. What am I doing? There we go. Plug that in. Jam that in there. Oops. Hey, that looks quite a bit better, doesn't it? Alright, so we're going to go to the same place in the same game, doing the same thing. 2.4 volts, it is pulling a whopping 167 to 173 milliamps, which is quite low, to be honest. We can use the touch sensor to increase brightness. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 levels of brightness. At the minimum level, it pulls 145 to 150 milliamps. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And at the maximum, it pulls, what was that, 257 to 266. Pretty nice. That's good. Let us see if it remembers brightness settings on power cycles. It's at max. Set it to minimum. Oh, I think I just shorted it. And now it's at minimum. There we go. So it does recall brightness settings. That is fantastic. I'm going to set that up a little. All right. So I'm going to leave the other one plugged in and just unplug that one, because that one's easier to seat in my opinion. But let's go ahead and get on with the install. So I don't have to do any teardown because I have already just got a bare motherboard. We'll just drop it straight into the shell here. Oh, let's talk about the shell real quick. This is the screen that is used with the older backlight kits. This is the what I refer to as the 9380 backlight kits because it uses a screen out of a BlackBerry 9380. That's all it is. But this shell should be sized to fit both. You notice down here there are two pegs, one up here and one down here. If we were to take this 9380 screen, you notice it should just seat right in there. But we'd have to cut that peg right there. If we cut that peg, this screen will seat right in there. But we're not using this screen because someone, not me, but someone, ripped the ribbon cable. We're using this one. Wow, I didn't expect that. This goes in here like this. Do I have that back? Yeah, I have that backwards. That goes in there like this, with the connector closer to the top. But to seat this in here, instead of cutting this pin, we got to cut this pin. You notice the screen a little bit too long. So I said this install required soldering. Well, it also requires some flush cutters, but you just take that, snip that off, that's it. You can also probably get that off with a knife or even some nail clippers, but I recommend the flush cutters. It is the proper tool for the job. And otherwise, oh, we're forgetting something. I'm forgetting something. I skipped this step on the original install, which is why I had to do so much extra trimming. Funnyplaying expects you to trim off these little white nubs on the screen. This is why you test it first. If you have a problem with your install and those nubs are trimmed, I don't know that most vendors will take a return. Or if you have a problem with your kit, not necessarily with your install. Just snip those off, and then how do we drop that in? Oh, I think I gotta trim one more nubbin. I don't know which nubbin though. Let me double check before I trim a nubbin. Oh, I can just look at it from the front, I bet. Yeah. I bet we gotta cut this nubbin. Yep, I was spot on. We gotta trim that one off too. I think calling them no-cut housings is a little bit disingenuous at this point, but it is certainly a lot easier than the original shell. So let us carry on. Next step is going to be the screen adhesive. And it appears to be omnidirectional. Yeah, that fits that way. And it fits that way. How convenient. All right. Leave the center in. Trust me, it'll make your life so much easier. Line this up. Probably line it up on that side, makes more sense. That's stuck down. The reason we want to leave the center in is because it gives us something to like manipulate the gasket with if you don't get it lined up perfectly on the first try, which I did not. Alright, once that is nice and flush, just pop the center out. And I like saving these for other projects. I don't know, nothing in particular, just save it. All right, now, there you go, you can see my gasket is nice and flush. I can see it from the front, so I can see all the places I missed applying it. All right, next, I need to decide on a lens, I think. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a real bad time. But I'm just gonna go for it anyway. What's the worst that could happen? Nice and applied. I'm gonna have to end up squishing that ribbon down a little, but that's okay. Alright. Next up, before continuing, I want to go ahead and get the button controls sorted, because now is the easiest time to do that. So, we have 4 pads up here. One for the touch sensor in case you don't want to use this one. One for the right trigger, one for the left trigger, and then one for the start button. So I think I got this largely memorized. Let's try it and see what happens. Want to solder this one to TP2. It's alright to reposition things to make it easier. Ooh, good lord. I might be going blind. There we go. And I am going to route this, do a little bit of fancy cable management. Just make that nice and clean. And this is the start button. So that goes right there. I'm even going to trim this down. Oh, I missed. There we go. Oh, there's a little bit too much slack. Use my flush cutters. I'm still getting used to my my new trimmers here, or my new wire stripper. I could have eat up the extra slack that way. Oh well. There's start. Now we need to do L, which I believe is TP9. Let me double check that. Got the page open, so I don't have to go far. Yep, TP9. And previously I'd even gone so far as to just use the pins on the back, but as far as wire routing goes, it really is easier to just use the test pads, so that's what we'll do. Wait, where'd that strip I cut off go? Oh, I don't know. It's gone forever. I should have zoomed in. I'm sorry, guys. Isn't really much to do in terms of routing for this one. But we'll manage. Yeah, let's tin wires right over the CPU. That way I can drop solder balls on it. What's the worst that could possibly happen? Alright. I hope those have enough slack because I totally forgot we gotta bend this. Yeah, it should be fine. And last one goes to TP8. Which is this one with the hole in it. Alright, bring that up. Run that under the legs. Keep it on the front of the board. Would have made the most sense to do that one first, but oh well. Oh, and this one is almost already a good length. Almost. I need just a little bit more slack. I don't think that's going to give me all I need. Oh, maybe it will. Just kidding. That didn't work out too well. Accidentally cut most of the wire. It's okay, there's still a little bit on the end where the insulation recessed. Alright, there we go. Just gonna trim off a little bit of that wire. There we go. There, nice and clean. And hopefully that's not running in the way of anything. It probably is, but hopefully it's not. Right. Easy peasy. Buttons. So I'm going to use these Super Nintendo buttons because I can. These are Funnyplaying buttons because I really like their buttons. Ooh, I got a bonus. I got some sprue. I have been blessed. It's a sign of good luck. Because otherwise it's a sign of bad luck, and I don't like that. I've also got these custom membranes, back when I was still experimenting with dyes. Back before Funnyplaying was like, hey, why don't we just make membranes in every single color you could possibly want? Same thing with that start and select. Alright, now I know that's not plugged in, but we're just doing a test fit. I want to make sure everything fits. So the speaker, I kind of had to walk in with the palm of my hand, but it goes under the ribbon. And then these, oh, so close. Oh, that one fits. What if I just sent, no, that's not gonna work. See, these aren't the proper shoulder buttons for GBA, and unfortunately they don't quite fit. I know I can trim the shielding on the shoulder button itself, but it's just so much easier to trim a little bit of plastic off. So that is what I'm gonna do. Just come in here. Again, this is not necessary for normal GBAs, just for people who decide they want clicky buttons. All right. Seat that there. Close that up. Can't get that in there again. Boom, there we go. We're nearly there. Only thing now is something isn't fitting. Oh, that's not seating. There we go. I have to be careful because that wire I ran is pinching, so I need to trim that. idea for where. All we need to do is cut a little notch. Oh, forgetting something. Gotta include your light pipe. That's seated. Ooh, and I missed my notch. Whoops. Let's try that again. I'll just cut another notch. Funnyplaying speaker is not required, by the way. I just have one because this GBA originally had a bad speaker. Alright, now my notch still doesn't line up, but it's close enough that I can just bump the wire in. Boom. And I think everything is seated. Cool, cool, cool. Let's get it screwed in. So, highly recommend using the screws that come with the shell instead of reusing your original screws, because with Funnyplaying shells in particular, these screw posts can be a little bit shorter than OEM, which means using your OEM screws might poke through a little bit. It's not too big a concern with most of the screw posts. And I don't think it's at all a concern with the motherboard side screw posts. But like this one down here, you'll want to be especially careful of if you're using your OEM screws. But you could just avoid that by not using OEM screws. Alright, that clicking means that's not the right size. And that is the biggest driver I have with that screw. So nice, tight, solid. Yeah, it feels good. All right, what am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything. Let's carry on. My shoulders don't work with the Funnyplaying buttons. That is a problem that I need to fix. I'll be right back. That's outside of the scope of this video, so I will I'll do it off camera. Alright, so for those following along at home, if you have your own custom buttons, walk through what I just did real quick. I just glued some chunks of plastic to the tops of the nubs. Seems to work. It's also a really good way to accidentally glue your finger together, so don't do that. But, you know, other than that, yeah. Alright. The plastic that I glued on there did actually come from the shell, because of my mystery mod. I did have to trim a little bit of plastic from the bottom. Just had to cut this post right where my thumb is. It goes down on the terminal. Otherwise, that is seating. That's not seating right. I don't know what that's about. Well, my problem is the board's not seated. Why is the board not seated? Because of my shoulder buttons? I bet it's because of my shoulder buttons. Let's trim that a little bit more. I'll be right back. All right, there we go. Just need to trim a little bit more. I keep having to find workarounds for my shoulder buttons. I'm starting to think maybe I should have just sourced the proper shoulder buttons. And that wouldn't have been a problem. Forgetting these are non-magnetic screwdrivers. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Let's try it out. We're almost there. All right, I need batteries. Normally, I think I would use AA's, and that's normally what I would recommend using. But I've got something special here. So it is a prototype. Oh, of course, I forgot to remove the spring terminals. Ah, never mind. I don't want to take it apart again. I'll just pull them out of my Game Boy Color here. Good as what's a Game Boy Color good for if not battery storage? So close. All right, so before moving on, there is something I'd like to try. I'd like to try adjusting that potentiometer. I have been told that adjusting this potentiometer might be necessary for some installs, and it looks like it might be necessary here. So let me go ahead and get my test ROM. I'll be right back. Alright, so yeah, I don't know how well you can see that flickering on camera, but this thing is pretty far out of whack as far as calibration goes. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to take my test cartridge here. This is flashed with the AGS Aging ROM. Search it up on the web. I don't have a link to it in the description. I have a link to every other test ROM that I have, but the reason I don't have a link to this is if you notice that big old watermark across the back of the screen, well, that's why. But if you do a Google search of this thing, search AGS Aging, where is it? If we go into configuration, yeah, type AGS Aging, and then you'll find a link on thecuttingroomfloor.net. Hold LNR while you're booting to get into this menu, and then we'll go into Test Program LCD Unit Checker, and that first test is going to give us quite a bit of flicker, but that is intentional. That test is designed to make the screen flicker if it is out of calibration, and so all we do is we stick a screwdriver down in the back, that hole there, and we hit that potentiometer, and we just adjust it until the flicker goes away. I don't know how well the camera picks up this flicker. I don't think it's very well at all, but trust me, it's very evident in person. You just want to slowly tweak it one way until the flicker is almost completely gone. It's still going to flicker a little bit. There's always going to be a little bit of flicker, but we can step through the test patterns. This is, by the way, where the screen alignment comes from, which I suppose will be useful for choosing our screen. So I wanted to use this lens, but the reason I grabbed a second one just in case is because this lens is for a 9380 screen, which is a little bit bigger than the ITA screen. The ITA screen that I'm doing right here is OEM sized, whereas the 9380 is a little bit bigger. So, unfortunately, might not look right. Let me wipe that off. There was something on the back of it. And of course, I wiped it over the screen. That was smart, wasn't it? But I'm gonna drop that in there. You know what? I'm fine with that. That looks good. This is a new lens. I don't believe it's out yet. This is, I don't know if I'm supposed to be showing it off, but here we are. Huh. I thought they'd be sticking out a little bit, because what this lens is, this is one of those like 2.5D lenses. So if I pull that up there, you look at the edge, you can see it has a curve to it. Now this is not the first lens of its type. You can get these right now from MRGC, my retro game case, but this lens isn't from them. This lens is from Funnyplaying. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity in this shell. Personally, I prefer lenses to be fully recessed like that, but this one has that curve on the edge, so it looks kind of funny fully recessed. So it's close, man, but it's not. I'm not feeling it. So we're gonna go with the silver. This one is not a Funnyplaying lens. This one is from a vendor by the name of Cloud Game Store. I'm sure you've heard me mention them before plenty time. Canned air is the best option for that, but that's good enough. Okay. Get the adhesive peeled off. And I am a very large fan of the cloud game store lenses, especially these mirror ones. These ones are hot. And I think if we're going to have a slightly recessed lens, that's the way to do it. But there you go. The alignment's already pretty good out of the box. I think, what do we have it set to? Start? Or select? It should be start. Why don't I have button controls? Do I even have a start button? Oh man, that looks heaps better. I don't even have a start button. Oh, there we go. I just gotta press hard. What I don't have is select. Alright, let me go ahead and swap that membrane out. I'll be right back again. I suppose while we have the back off... Oh, I can't even pop that out. Do we even have to... There's normally a little thing you can press on from the inside, but there's no cutout in this shell for that. So in normal shells, of course I don't have one handy because that would be convenient. You can stick like some tweezers or something in there and press that out. I have no idea how this is supposed to come out of this shell. Or maybe we just press it. Oh, what do you know? It doesn't have to come out from the inside. It doesn't come out from the inside. Anyway, I'll screw this back together. I'll be right there. Huh? There we go. I like that. This stupid thing, this has been floating around in my membrane drawer for years, and I keep accidentally putting it back. It does not work. Okay, so, spoiler alert. Got the Funnyplaying one in there. So, I guess let's take a quick tangent, take a look at the Funnyplaying battery mod. So, like I said, you do have to remove that battery terminal. I guess it's designed to come out from the top now because Funnyplaying looked at that and went, hey, we're making a battery mod. Let's make it a little bit easier to do this. So, there's already no ridges in here that need to be cut out, no ridges on the side that need to be cut out, and then you just pop this out from the front. I'm guessing the easiest way to do it is going to be to grip like the springy part with tweezers and then try and walk it out. I'm not going to put it back in there because it was kind of hard to get out. But the battery mod, if and when that comes out, goes in pretty easily. Just jam it in like that, switch it on, and that's pretty much it. Now, unfortunately, Funnyplaying did something that I'm not really a big fan of, and it doesn't fit with a stock battery cover. Future iterations of this shell should be coming with new battery covers. In fact, I've got one right here, a sample. I've been keeping it with yet another new battery mod. But I will go into more detail on these battery mods later. Here is the new battery cover that Funnyplaying will be shipping with their shells eventually. Goes on just like that. There's a porthole right in the bottom, and then you can just plug in your battery and charge it up. Easy peasy. Hopefully it's not dead. I don't think it's dead. I just had it plugged in. Why would it be dead? But there we go, and now there we go. That's why my brightness controls weren't working, because they're hooked up to select, not start. So hold select, hit L, decrease brightness, hold select, hit R, increase brightness. There's also another function. Hey there, Future Mako in with a quick update. I don't know exactly what I was doing wrong, but the screen adjustment is actually pretty simple. Hold L and R, then press select for just a few seconds, and then you'll see this little green bar pop up on the left and right, and then you can use the shoulder buttons to adjust the image up and down. It only goes so far up, just about maxed out. I have mine one step down from the top, and then L and R select. Now you get the green bars across the top and the bottom, and then you can move the image left and right, just in case your alignment isn't great. And then just L and R select, and then the little outlines go away, and that's it. It will save your settings, so when you power off and restart, you'll always have that nice alignment. Anyway, carry on. I forgot a step. I totally forgot a step. There's this little black sticker that it comes with. I forgot to install it. Personally, I don't care. I like seeing all the neat stuff in the clear shell. Otherwise, I wouldn't use a clear shell for mods like this. But I totally forgot to do it. Let's take a look at what that is supposed to do. I have another kit here because, of course, I have another kit here. I bought several of these things because of who I am as a person. I'm going to peel that off. I'm going to peel this off. And then this just goes right along the bottom here. Obviously you want to apply that before you stick the LCD down, because otherwise you can't apply it. And I am sticking this sticker back on because I am not using this kit. Not yet, at least. But there you go. That's what that sticker is for, and the whole idea is if you're using it with a clear shell, so you just don't see the edges of the screen. Probably take a few minutes and make sure you get the alignment right. I got mine a little bit too far over to the left, but it is what it is. You could also just take like a marker to the screen, do it that way, but pretty simple, pretty easy. Put that away. And I guess let us discuss the performance of the kit. If you have an extra ribbon, don't really know what you can do with it. I'm gonna save it for my other kits because I've got plenty. All right, let's test with Pokemon Emerald. Oh, of course. I just want to see how things look. Not expecting too much, but we are going to fly to the bottom area because I've got another GBA right here. I'm going to kill the volume on both of these because I don't want to listen to that. Yes, I know the battery's dead. I'll fix it eventually. I promise. Oh, and I'm not even saved in the right place. Oh, how dare I. There we go. I wanted to compare the two kits here. The bottom one is the older 9380 based kit that I was talking about quite a bit earlier. And then this one is, of course, the brand new one. Red light means my battery's low, so this thing could shut off at any time. I'm actually going to just put this on the bottom and plug it in because this kit supports play and charge. So, bam. Oh, Funnyplaying, you did me dirty. I never tested this. Apparently this kit doesn't work C to C. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. This is a prototype, hand assembled. Things can change. It's not even out yet. So anyway, these are the differences in the colors and screen quality and everything. I don't think, like, obviously with them next to each other, you can see a huge difference between the two. Also keep in mind that my camera is not calibrated. I don't know what the hell color temperature this is. I'm not gonna bother trying to balance it. I don't even have the equipment to do that. I do have the software, just not the, I need a color card. But anyway, they look very different. In person, I can say the camera is making it look a lot worse than it is, but they are different. Which one do I prefer? I mean, they're both pretty darn good. I still really like the Funnyplaying, the 9380 version. Is it gonna focus? It's probably not gonna focus. I'm just looking at Ethan's face there. You can sort of see the scaling. This video is being recorded in 4K. If you're not watching it in 4K, you can probably bump it up just for this portion here, so you can see. So you can see a little bit what the screen looks like close up. It's different. Now this one's the ITA. Yeah. A lot of people say they prefer the ITA one because it's more authentic, or whatever excuse they want to make up, and that's fine. You're allowed to have opinions. My personal opinion is I think this one looks better. I think the scaling results in a very, very pleasing effect. And while I have it, I have an AGS 101 here. Or this is not an AGS 101, but this is modded with an AGS 101 screen. I need a game though. Good thing I've got so many freaking flash carts. Ooh, and this one's almost dead too. All right. This one does not support playing charge, so we will have to be quick. Oh, and this has that tactile button mod that I never finished. Notice how quiet my tactile buttons are. Ooh. We're nearly depleted. We're running very low. Oh, and of course it's right there too. Ugh. Alright, well here is your quick close-up of an AGS 101 screen. I believe this is an aftermarket screen, not an original, not an OEM Nintendo screen. I don't remember, to be honest. It's been so long since I did this particular mod, and I'm not going to tear it apart and find out. It's not worth it. I'm not that invested. But let's compare these two, since that's the most often comparison. And you can see the colors are a little bit different, but I think that has more to do with either the viewing angle or the brightness. I'm going to drop the brightness down until they look about the same in the camera. And there you go. They do look pretty darn similar as far as colors go. I think this one is definitely more washed out, at least it is at my angle. You can see how much that changes depending on which angle I'm holding this thing at. These original screens, these were not great screens. They were great compared to every other Game Boy screen at the time. They were not great screens in 2005, and they're certainly not great screens in 2022. You can do better. Don't do this to yourself, please. It's not worth the price. I don't know what they're going for now, but when they were $30, it was still a way better deal to get the old Funnyplaying kit. I'm pretty sure they're up to like 60 or 70 now, and it's definitely not worth it at that price, especially when this is like half that price. Anyway, viewing angles are kind of similar with this one. The color, the specific color might change depending on which angle you're holding it at, but in general, I think it is better. Again, it's still a relatively low quality screen, but it's still a lot better than the previous screens before it. It's definitely better than this, like hands down. If I had to choose between these two, I would choose this one every single time. This is good, and the single only reason that I would recommend this kit is if you absolutely need the maximum amount of battery life possible. This original screen will do it for you, because unfortunately the conversion electronics for something like this, they do take power, and that's just how that works. There's no real workaround for that. Eventually, maybe one day, 20, 10, 5 years, I don't know, maybe we can reach some sort of balance, equilibrium, and have screen conversion kits that are actually more power efficient than something like this. But the thing is this screen uses like 10 milliamps, whereas this one uses like 60 to 70 milliamps. It's a big difference. That just, you'll have to go back and check my numbers, but if you mod a Game Boy Advance with one of these screens, the only extra power you're using is for the backlights, which is about 10 milliamps. Of course, it gets way up there if you do mods to increase the brightness. That'll suck your power down real fast. So if you need more brightness out of one of these things, which this is brightness modded, by the way, then you still might be even better off with one of these. But there you go. I hope that provides some clarification. Let's try the color palette. I might have to pause this video and let this thing charge for a few minutes. I really should, because it is not healthy to run the battery down this low. Do I not have it on here? Of course I don't have it on here. Why would I have it on my EverDrive? All right, I'll be right back. I gotta deal with that. All right, the worst facet of these old lithium-ion mods. Do not recommend this at all whatsoever, by the way. I was young and more ignorant. Perhaps I should revisit this someday. Anyway, worst facet of these darn things is there's no playing charge support. So when the battery's dead, I just gotta plug it in and wait 2 hours before I can play it. But it hasn't been 2 hours, but it's been long enough. That's okay. So load up the color bars test so we can calibrate. So in theory, this one should be the gold standard. This is, like I said, it's the AGS 101. It is also calibrated. I did calibrate it. I should probably clean it though. It's kind of gross. I haven't been using this thing, and you can tell. But anyway, there's your AGS 101. There's your ITA. Compare. Meh. I don't really know. I can't speak too much about this because, I mean, I can't show you guys and look at it at the same time. You'll have to look at it and decide for yourself. And then I'm swapping out the AGS 101 for the 9380. Same test. Again, I still think that one looks better. And in the preview on my camera, it looks way better. But better isn't necessarily what you want. It depends on what you want. Color bars test, or color bleed test. Suppose you got to bring that up to the camera. You can see a little bit better. If you're using like one of those TV out kits or something, those things butcher these tests, at least on the output. On the actual screen itself, it's fine. But there you go. Looks pretty good. Results are fine. If we look at the 9380, results are perfect. And let us look at the AGS 101. And results are fine. No, I have no problems. I see no issues. Of course, all of these other tests are going to be pretty darn good. No real issues. Here's something interesting. This is this shadow sprite test. This is what I usually use Link's Awakening to test. But what it does, and I don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up, but this little black square that I can move around, this is flickering on and off real quick. And the effect on these older screens is that it gives it a little bit of a like ghosting effect, and it results in a transparent sprite. So if I were to slow this footage down and count step by step each frame, you'd see in one frame it's a totally black square, and then the next frame there's no square at all. One frame it's black, totally gone, so on and so forth. That is, of course, if the screen refreshes fast enough to actually display that, which in this case, it's kind of iffy. The camera's not picking up on it too well. There's a little bit of flickering, but it is what it is. That's the AGS 101. Let's look at the 9380. You can see we got quite a bit more flickering going on. Again, don't know how well the camera's picking that up. It looks a lot lighter on the camera, but in person they're pretty similar. Interestingly, there's a little bit of a shadow if I leave it in one place too long. I think what that is, I think that's something in the firmware compensating. Because the firmware will look and see, oh, this is a flickering element. It's supposed to be transparent. So they're working that in to work against the screen's ability to refresh really fast. So for something like F-Zero, that's a fantastic feature. For something like Link's Awakening, where the transparent elements are moving around on screen all the time, not so much. It'd be nice to be able to configure that, but we don't have such an option. It's really neat. I hadn't actually thought about that before. Okay. And then let's look at the ITA, because I'm sure that's what most of you guys want to see. What was I looking at? Shadow sprite. And that's pretty much ideal. Interestingly, I think the camera picks up on more flickering than I see in person. Again, that could be because my screen is calibrated. I don't see any of that algorithmic flicker adjusting that the 9380 has. I don't see any of that in here, so they're relying on the screen's refresh rate itself to take care of it, and the screen's doing a fantastic job because the refresh rate on this screen is a little bit lower. Ooh, I'm saying refresh rate. That is not the correct term. The pixel response is lower on this screen than it is on this one, which results in a better image. Ooh, interesting. If I leave it alone long enough, it stops flickering entirely and just gives me full transparency. That's really neat. Like, that's not what it's supposed to be doing. Or I guess it is what it's supposed to be doing, because now if I move it, I get flickering where it was and where it is. But that's just so cool how it algorithmically corrects like that. Anyway, this screen doesn't have that algorithm because it's relying on the pixel response. Of course, this one doesn't either, and I'm getting a little bit of flickering. It could just be out of calibration. I don't know. Might have to mess with it later. Either way, all the tests I've run, this has been one of the best so far. Another thing, let us look at the grid, because I want to show this. All right, the red line on the edge of the screen is the edge of the display area. No game will ever go over that because the GBA just doesn't have enough pixels. This screen physically does have more pixels, but the GBA doesn't, so there's never ever going to be anything displayed. This is an OEM sized lens, and if we pull the same test up, this one also has an OEM sized lens because this is a limited edition Game Boy. I don't have the limited edition bottom on it right now because I was using it for battery testing, and I didn't want to modify the bottom. This has an OEM sized screen cutout, but it has the larger 9380 screen. If we pull up the grid, you can see it's cut off. Not much, and depends on the angle. You can see all of the screen depending on the angle you hold it at, but it is a little bit cut off. This one also has an OEM screen. See that little blue on the edges? That's an insert I had to make because the screen itself is small and there's backlight bleed from the edges. So if we go into the grid, we can see the whole thing, but you can also see that little blue bracket slash spacer thing I have in there. So all in all, the whole point of this long tangent that I just went on is this is the way to go if you're considering one of these mods. If you're considering an AGS 101, just stop. Don't do it. It's not in 2022, not in 2023, not in whenever the hell you watch this video. Don't do it. It's no good. Do the ITA mod. It's so much better. Now, I say not in 2022, not ever, but yeah, maybe there will be a better one next year. I don't know. These things keep changing. It feels like there's a new kit every few months at this point. Maybe there will be another one that does this but better. Who knows? But that being said, these two kits are not created equal. They both have their pros and they both have their cons. And my personal opinion is I really like this one better. I really like the 9380. And if I were to go building my own Game Boy and designing it to work with a certain kit, I might just go with the 9380 because that's the kit that I like. And, well, what do you know? That's exactly what I did. ITA is nice, but I like this. Thanks for watching, guys. I think that's all I got. Real quick before I get out of here, I do got to give Retro Game Repair Shop a quick shout out because they did send me a lot of the hardware that I used in this video, including the screen kit and the buttons. Well, no, I bought the buttons. And the shell. They sent me the screen kit and the shell. I bought the buttons from them, but I bought this lens from Cloud Games Store directly on AliExpress, but Retro Game Repair Shop does carry those lenses now as well. Sorry, RGRS, I would have bought it from you, but I bought this a full month before you had them and then put it in my drawer for 6 months. Not quite, but it is what it is. And because, of course, people are going to ask about it, the Funnyplaying battery mod... Ooh. That was interesting. I don't know if you guys heard that squeak. Oh, there it is again. So it's a prototype. This thing is hand assembled. I have no idea when they're coming out. It's all right. If you want one of these lithium battery mods, it's hard to say you can go wrong with one of these, but if you want one of these lithium battery mods, you're basically building it into an all Funnyplaying Game Boy anyway, because it does require a custom battery cover, which only Funnyplaying's Game Boys are going to come with. I did test it with other battery covers that have port holes in them, and those still don't work because of how the spacing is. If you look at this, you can see the port is a little bit recessed. There's normally this curve here, or recessed, protruding actually. So you need that specific cover. But for what it's worth, it does work. But I don't necessarily recommend it. Rechargeable nickel metal hydrides are usually the better way to go. But this works too. I think that's all I've got. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments. I will try and do my best to answer them. I don't check comments as frequently as I used to. As it turns out, it's usually once every few weeks. But I do read them all, and I do try and get to them if I can. If not, sorry, maybe I missed it, maybe not. Don't comment on multiple videos, because then I see the comment multiple times. Like, just because I didn't reply doesn't mean I didn't see it. It just means I didn't see it yet. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. If you let me ramble further, I will. So, I'll catch you all next time. Thanks for watching. Quick addendum before I forget. Shell comes with a sticker. We gotta use it. Oh, uh-oh, I messed up. You gotta apply the sticker after you do your screen calibration. Otherwise you can't get your screwdriver through that hole. Or you gotta do it with the backplate off. Huh? 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 Alright, I'll catch you all next time.